by lunch, our 500 shortwave trough is going to lie just east of New Zealand, left leaning. Under the shortwave, we've got numerous low centers, two of them east of the Chatham Islands, pretty active. One is over the South Island, and we have a complex pattern with three low centers at the top of the North Island. That's affecting Gulf Harbor radio as well. Now these lows are spread out pretty much along 34 South. That's the centers. The cloud bands and whatnot extend further than that, and I can assure you we've certainly got the cloud now. The one furthest to the left, the west, is about 170 east, and the one to the right, or east, is just about over the date line. Now, over the Tasman, we've got a 500 ridge with its associated surface high that's sitting between Australia and New Zealand at about 1025 millibar 1025. Now, lastly, we've got another shortwave trough that's roughly over Tasmania, and it is winding up a 982 depression. So a pretty active and yeah, not very nice depression sitting near Tasmania, just south of Tasmania. And of course, it's going to be heading our way. Now, looking ahead, by lunch tomorrow, Wednesday, the Tasman high is going to be not quite over New Zealand, just to the west. And it will have picked up a little bit of energy, about 1028 millibar, 1028. And by lunch on Thursday, we're going to find it over the northern tip of New Zealand, and it's still getting stronger, projected to be 1032 millibar, 1032. And those isobars, by the way, are going to be a little bit closer together, and they are going to extend all the way up to the islands. So we're going to be seeing anticyclonic flow over the entire cruising route and heading up to the islands area. Now, those of you that have left Fiji for New Zealand, and if you're between 20 and 25 south, by lunch tomorrow, you should experience finally southeast winds near about 20 south, but still south-southeast near 25 south. And also on Wednesday, our trough is going to be over Fiji and Tonga. Actually, it's over there now, but it will continue tomorrow as well. Come Thursday, the winds between the two latitudes that I gave you are going to be quite fresh, and they'll be due to the trade wind surge from that strong high that's will be about over New Zealand. So expect east-southeast 20 to 25 knot mean winds. And that's about the point during the week where those of you that are on passage are going to get some decent wind direction. Up until now, it hasn't been very good, except if you're going north, like the Lark. But those of you coming south are not having a great time of it. But that is going to change, and change for the better. Now, for this passage, we're going to be looking good through the weekend. This is from Thursday through the weekend. And by Sunday, which is the 16th, the winds near New Zealand should be northeast to north-northeast, right about there. And expect a trough by Wednesday the 18th, and that'll extend north up and down about 172 east. But there is a pretty good chance that that might fizzle, totally fizzle. And that would be good news if that's the case. Now, weather up in the islands on or about the 18th looks to be highly convective, looking at the various models. In other words, cloud and showers. And, well, as I say, we'll have to just wait and see. It's a little bit too far out to be sure, and it's the outer edge of any real accuracy on the models that we're using. Now, this morning, up in the islands, we've got a trough that's running from Rotuma, actually northwest of Rotuma, hits Rotuma, goes over Fiji, over Tonga, over Niue, and then it goes on to the southern Cooks. And we have another trough that's lying over the Solomons, and that goes to upper Vanuatu. And then we've got a cold front that's running from, well, further to the south, but up to 30 in the dateline, and then up to Anishim. So it gets all the way up to Vanuatu, which is the southern part. And as I said, the southern parts of this cold front continue to the south to the current depression that's east of New Zealand. Over to Tonga, where we see associated cloud and showers continuing to affect the kingdom. The trough that's sitting there is fairly light. It will probably hang around tomorrow and further, for that matter. All the reporting stations early this morning are a mix of either overcast to cloudy. Light showers were falling in both the Vavau and the Hapais airports. And the barometer for both areas, 1014 millibar. Actually, they make it a little bit tighter than that, 1013.5. I just rounded off because of the barometers that we have are generally not all that accurate. Although some of you may disagree, the electronic ones can be if they're adjusted properly, but who knows. Tongatapu, forgot that one, 1015. That's the barometric pressure at 6 a.m. Now the winds are a mix. By lunchtime, I would say east-northeast to northeast for the Vavau area and southeast for the Hapais. So you can visualize the directional convergence that we're getting. And that, of course, is maintaining the trough that's sitting there. Now tomorrow, possibly light northwest winds for Vavau, fresh southerlies for the Hapais, and they may be getting up to 20 to 25 knots. So that high pressure area to the south is sending up a little bit of compression in the isobars, so we're getting a little bit more wind. So that's the Hapais for you. Now, with the trough over much of Fiji that we could see on imagery this morning, and again, it's not anything to write home about. It's not a very aggressive trough, but expect cloud to continue and scattered showers, and some of them will be quite isolated. Winds are not very strong. By lunch, mostly southeast, about 10 to 15, but picking up a little bit more tomorrow, about 15 to 20. That's early, but later, possibly 20 to 25 knots as the day rolls on. Now, the trough is going to probably hang around right through Friday and more than likely the weekend as well. And it might even be longer than that. I think I indicated that we're looking into next week for these troughing conditions to remain. So that's the story there. Over to Vanuatu, the northern area, the trough up in that neck of the woods. I see cloud as far south as Malakula on satellite imagery. Central Vanuatu looks pretty fair, but Anishim does not. It's being flipped by the frontal band that's coming up from New Zealand. So scattered showers for these two areas and fine to partly cloudy for the remainder of the country. And as Trish said, colder temperatures for Tanna. There were 15 C last night, and that'll climb up to about 26 during the day. The winds for Vanuatu, I'd say south to southeast in the 15 knot range, and tomorrow 15 to 20 out of the southeast. And for New Caledonia, the cloud bands are being pushed over the country from the south. So if you look up and you see those clouds whizzing by, they should be coming from a southerly direction. And by lunch, you can expect surface winds to be southwest, and they'll be around 15 knots or so, with a chance of showers as well. Now tonight, the wind looks like it's going to back a bit to become southerlies, and then slowly turn south-southeast, 10 to 15. Now tomorrow, partly cloudy, the wind south to south-southeast, also about 10 to 15 knots, but later in the day, expect to shift to the southeast. So that's New Cal for you. The winds are not all that strong. So any questions or comments, come down. And here's Patricia.
I know we've got a couple of boats down there in the southern lagoons, so it sounds like it might be not great at Wa today, but certainly tomorrow looks good. Any questions from anybody? Oh, hello, Rapaki. Good. Go ahead, Peter. Where are you?
Good morning, Mr. David. We are at 197.5
Okay, you faded at the end. I guess the batteries are a little bit down, but I have your position and speed 1913, 17651 east, 5.8. What is the course, please, Peter? Over. 198 true, and your wind speed and direction. You have to look it up.
I'm giving it tomorrow.
Okay, we're not getting the wind speed and direction at the moment, but please confirm all is well on board. Roger, Roger. I think I heard all well on board. Did anybody capture the wind speed and direction?
Relay, hello, mate.
Go ahead, please.
I think it was 5 knots out of the east to back up to that order. Okay, you want to copy you to roll on. We're going to go about 5 knots out of the east and all well on board.
Sounds pretty light. I'll give the microphone to David.
Yeah, Peter, that's going to be changing fairly soon. By tomorrow, later tomorrow, it's going to be southeast, probably more towards dinner time. But you could expect 20 knots in that neighborhood as that high starts to build and gets more toward New Zealand. So enjoy the light air while you can. A little bit stronger tomorrow, and it's going to be backing. Over.
Did you copy that, Peter?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, please, southeast, that's Roger. Hey, all clear, thank you, Gold High.
Well, you're booming, and I had to turn it up for Peter. Yes, he probably has got the engine on at the moment, I guess, with 5 knots of easterly. So it would be giving a bit of competition for the radio. All right, we'll call you tomorrow. Probably call you just before the weather, Peter. I'll call you just before the weather. All right, anybody else?
Midnight Sun.
Midnight Sun. Go ahead, John.
Hi, firstly, not a bit of a radio check, but I'll just give my weather anyway. At 22.5 degrees and 177 degrees east, we've got a very steady 12 knots of northeast, and sorry to say there's a beautiful blue sky. That's it.
What a lovely way to start a passage. Blue skies, flat seas, and 12 knots from the northeast. And I tell you what, clearly having the topping lift wrapped around the backstay antenna didn't do much good yesterday, given that it was wet as well, because you are booming in this morning. Over.
Okay, well that's wonderful to know. I get a bit more these main cheaters.
All right, keep trucking. It sounds pretty good, and we'll be covering the passage again tomorrow, of course. All right, anybody else? Well, there was someone there. I couldn't work out who it was. Try again. Oh, there's Haven. I've got you now, no problem. And I'll just repeat where you are for people who are listening, 2230 and 17049. And Haven has 15 to 20 from the southwest. Feels as though the wind may be dropping. A swell of 1 to 2 metres from the southwest, 10% cloud cover, and a bar of 1013. Go ahead, Kerry.
I'm wondering, the wind wafting round to the south tonight in our position, or
All right, so looking ahead as to what it might do, you want it to back as well. I'll pass the
Oh, wait a
microphone.
minute. I gotta get.
Hold it.
I'm looking at something else.
He's looking at something else. Must have been distracted looking at, I think, swells somewhere. But anyway,
What do they want for?
they want the wind to go to back a little bit to the south. And when will that happen? They are currently at 2.5 and 17049. And they've got it 15 to 20 southwest at the moment.
It'll be southeast tomorrow.
Southeast tomorrow, so between now and then, could we fine tune it a little bit, please? I'll pass the microphone.
Fine tune it. Boy, that's challenging. All right, tell you what. You can tell me how wrong this is tomorrow. By midnight tonight, and somebody will be up watching. South to southeast, 10 to 12 knots. And by, let's call it breakfast time on Wednesday, southeast, 10 to 15 knots. And by lunch, a good southeast, also light, about 10 to 15 knots. And by midnight on Wednesday, east southeast, about 15 knots. Over.
thank you.
Well, we'll just see how accurate that was, won't we? When they report it tomorrow. All right, anybody else? Okay, nothing heard, so we'll leave the frequency with you guys and enjoy our grey skies here. And we will be back again tomorrow. Sorry about the hiccup in the streaming earlier on, but we got the all-important weather anyway. Okay, cheers everybody. This is the Vivian and David signing clear.